Hi everyone, Nova here again from Brighter Outlook Counselling Service. Thank you so much for joining us here once again this week for our narcissistic abuse recovery question, answer and support session. As most of you know, I'm a therapist on the north side of Brisbane in Australia, and I work with, not only is it my job, it's my absolute passion to work with victims and survivors of narcissistic abuse every day. That's what I do. So if that's something that you'd like to do, please send me a message through our Facebook page at Brighter Outlook Counselling, or you can send me an email on nova@brighteroutlookcounselling.com.au. I would absolutely love to be able to support you on your healing journey from narcissistic abuse, whether that's face-to-face here in Brisbane or via Skype or telephone counselling if you're not close to Brisbane or if you're outside of the country. Okay, I am really excited to have David Demars joining us here again tonight, and he is here. So I'm just going to let David in and hope that this works, okay? So I'm just going to add David and hopefully he'll come straight in. Hopefully, fingers crossed, David will be joining us all the way from Las Vegas, and I believe it's very early in the morning over there, something like 2 a.m. So yeah, poor old David has to either stay up till, and there he is. Hi, David. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. How you going?
Good. How are you?
I'm really, really well, thanks. You got your coffee all organized?
Yes, I do.
You awake?
Yes,
Oh,
I
that's
do.
good. Awesome. Okay,
Thanks
well,
for having me
yeah,
back. Thanks for having me
no
back, and
problem.
hello, everyone. Thank you.
Oh, look, no problem at all. It's my pleasure. I know that, yeah, everyone who follows Brighter Outlook loves seeing you here at these live streams and really appreciates all your support. So, yeah, no, thank you for joining. So, thank you for staying up till, well, either staying up till 2 a.m. or getting up, having a bit of a kip and get up. I'm not going to ask you what you did, but thanks anyway. Okay, we've got Rebecca Chittum here already. Hi, Rebecca, how you going? Hi, guys. Bex from New Zealand's here. Vanessa West is here. Hi, Vanessa. Yeah, everyone, this is Daz. Really excited to have David back all the way from Las Vegas. So, yeah, please say where you're from as you join and say hi so we can say hi back. And, of course, as always, put all your questions down. That's what David and I are here for. Vanessa West says, hi, David. David Bridges back. Hey, David, how you going? Yeah, awesome to have you back here, guys. Now, David, because you got here so early, which is unbelievable, it's just fantastic. I haven't yet spoken about what we were going to kind of touch on again tonight. So, did you want to let everyone know what we were going to talk about tonight?
Yeah, well, we just briefly discussed the how problematic professional help can be for this type of situation. They seem to not be very knowledgeable about personality disorders, as we know, and they don't really know how to help or treat us. They can, there's all kinds of stories that, we're going to share that we've been told and we've heard, and they're horrible. Majority of my clients that come to me have already been to therapists and psychiatrists and clinicians, and, it, it's anything from go back to them, make it work, because, and then if you bring that person, the narcissist, with you to therapy, they manipulate the therapist, they get the
Yeah.
therapist on their side, and I think you could attest to this, that, it's not a good thing in therapy to discard or get rid of relationships, especially a number of them. Like if you find out after you dated a narcissist and you find out they're a narcissist, you might have a parent that's a narcissist. You might have, all your friends could be pretty toxic. And so if we're recommending, kind of get rid of these people, I don't think that's what most professionals recommend. It's make them work,
No. Yeah, it's that old that old adage, forgive and forget, David, that I think kind of, you have to forgive someone to find peace and to be able to move on. I think sometimes, I know from the people that come to see me, they kind of feel invalidated when they've been to see someone else, and they've kind of had that instilled in them. You need to forget. You need to, especially if it's family. This is your mother. This is your dad. How can you possibly, completely go no contact with this person? Words like just be the bigger person, and you can work with it, and be the bigger person, and forgive them. That you've only got one mother, that type of thing, which really, it kind of parallels or mirrors the gaslighting that they experienced in the relationship, and they kind of get, I don't know, it's kind of like being re-victimized, all over again. When
Sure.
they're told to
Yeah.
have contact with and make up and forgive the person who's got absolutely no remorse, and if they give them any kind of contact, is only going to reoffend, is going to abuse them again. So they're basically being told to put themselves in the firing line again. And what does that do to someone's self-esteem? It's just crushing.
Yeah, it sure is. It sure is. And that's what they need. They need somebody just to listen, someone to validate them.
Yeah,
When you're manipulated for so long, you 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 need to be told what's right, what the truth is, you know? And
yeah,
the last thing we need to be told is it's so our fault for someone emotionally abusing us. And when you explain emotional abuse, when you're somebody that doesn't understand it yourself, and you're trying to explain it to somebody, it can kind of just sound like a little cat and dog fighting, kind of, like harmless.
absolutely. It can just sound when I've said this to people before on these live streams. Can you imagine trying to explain to a therapist who doesn't really understand the insidious nature of narcissistic abuse and how these abusers just destroy individuals? Can you imagine trying to explain something, like a smear campaign? You're saying things like, oh, they were calling me names. You know, a therapist is going to go, really? Well, don't call them names, sticks and stones, that type of thing. And it just comes off sounding very, very trivial if you're not talking to someone who understands just how destructive a well-aimed and manipulated smear campaign can be. It's
Especially that
really
that
hard to
over
talk.
time, every day, every week, and then months, years. Some of these people go through smear campaigns for years.
Yeah,
Small towns, everyone in the town believes it, things like that. It's horrible, horrible.
absolutely, absolutely. And it's just all, yeah, just pure lies and manipulations, but normally based on a seed of truth. And that's
Always,
why, these people
always.
believe it, because they've seen the seed of truth in the past. Yeah,
And it's that old thing. We tend to believe what we hear first. You can't get it out of your
yeah,
head. Once you hear it, it's in
yeah,
there.
yeah, that's right. Um, who else we got? We've got Rebecca, who says, "You guys are awesome. Appreciate you spending your own time doing videos to help others." Well, thank
Thank
you,
you, Rebecca.
Rebecca. Yeah, our pleasure. Yeah, I know David's very passionate, as I am, and this is our life basically, is raising awareness and helping people just like you. So yeah, thank you very much for your appreciation. Okay. Okay, I guess the other thing I wanted to kind of touch on with the therapist side of things, David, is you know when victims who do go and see a professional, they get kind of told, especially with family, to forgive and forget. It kind of makes me wonder about just how knowledgeable these people are around the nature of covert psychological abuse, because can you imagine if one of these victims walked in there and they were on crutches, and they had bruises all over their body, and a broken nose, and they've been in and out of hospital because of the physical abuse. It you wouldn't, as a therapist, well, I'm assuming
Exactly.
you wouldn't say, yes, definitely maintain contact with that person, forgive and
Exactly.
forget, it will bring you peace, you know. But
Yeah,
because,
imagine your father, you go in there, my father raped me for 7 years. Oh, go tell him you're sorry. My boyfriend has me trapped and has everyone believing that I'm, psychotic and all the, it's just you're gonna feel completely trapped, not know what to do, and they're gonna may advise you to do the exact opposite of what you should do. And like you said,
yeah,
you walk into the office, they would never tell someone that's been battered for years this stuff, you know. But
no.
psychologically abuse is so hard to see, it's hard to explain, describe.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, guys, that's why we're going to continue to do these shows, is because more awareness needs to be raised around this narcissistic abuse, because, as you know, it destroys lives, and it creeps up on you, and it's not, you don't have to be, it's not a sign of intelligence, who they pick and choose. It can target anyone. Okay, we've got Nicole Roberts. Hi, Nicole, and Nicole Parker. Two Nicole's there. Nicole Roberts, David says, can they change? Okay, well, I don't mind tackling this one first. And okay, based on the research, I'm going to say that. I'm going to be very, very politically correct there, Nicole. Based on the research that I've done, which is many thousands of hours, and I'm sure David has too. In fact, I know he has. I'm going to say no. Okay. Look, the research says that if a narcissist engages in therapy, for years and years and years, there might be a slight chance that that they can like change their behaviours. The problem with asking if they can change, Nicole, is that change requires a desire to change, an awareness that you've done something wrong. A narcissist does not believe they've done anything wrong, do they, David? It's a
Right.
personality disorder. They that's just who they are. So they don't think they're doing anything wrong. So why would they go to therapy to fix something that they don't believe is broken?
Exactly. And it doesn't mean they're happy. They have no success in relationships, but they will never see that. That's why they blame you all the time. They can't have introspection, reflection, look inside and say, hey, this is a problem of mine. You know,
Yeah.
um, besides the fact that narcissists are shame-based people, they don't want to be told there's something's wrong with them. They can't handle that. They can't face what they've done to people, and it's out of shame, not guilt. Shame, completely different. Um, yeah, we
Absolutely.
can't change.
Yeah.
We all have a chance and ability to control and change our behavior, like you said. But thought patterns are much harder to change, and you have to realize that narcissists missed out their opportunity to develop empathy. And that is huge. You don't develop empathy in your adult life. It's not a class you take. It's something that takes many, many years to develop. Many children don't finish developing empathy until their college years. So if you're
Yeah.
30 years old, you're not going to just gain empathy.
That's
And
right.
as you get into your 40s, people just don't
Sorry,
change.
David.
I'm saying as you get older, most people just don't change. You get in your 40s, that you're pretty much set in who you are.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think research tends to say, that the brain stops forming, I think, especially that emotional intelligence stops forming around the age of 22, 23. So yeah, Nicole, that emotional intelligence with a narcissist it stops. It becomes stunted, I don't know, around the age of 4 or 5. So they're like David said, they can't turn inwards, they can't self-reflect on their behavior. Everything is about the moment, about gaining narcissistic supply, and they don't think there's anything wrong with themselves. So why would they change? So when you say can they change, no, I don't think so. If a narcissist goes to counseling or therapy, it's simply to gain narcissistic supply, whether that be from the therapist or from the partner that they go to. They might go to counseling for side issues, like depression, anger, as they grow older and more bitter, and they've lied to so many people, they're not capable of getting so much narcissistic supply. They might go to counselling thinking they can get help around that, but not really seeking help like you and I would. But a narcissist would never go to therapy um, based on their narcissism, to change their narcissism, because
That's right.
they can't relate to the fact that they are a narcissist. So yeah, you
Many,
don't
many
see any narcissists
narcissists are
walking in.
diagnosed. Many narcissists that are diagnosed, which aren't many, but many that are, they might go there. They might be diagnosed because of jail. They're in prison, and many oftentimes they might go one time, two times, three times max. I always say, within a
Because they've had
relationship,
to, they've been court ordered.
or with somebody else that says, let's go to counselor. I'm leaving you,
Yeah,
and they might give it a
yeah,
shot. They might give it one. I
yeah,
always say, a narcissist will never go to counseling more than three times in their life. Never.
yeah. And it's always, David, there's never a selfless reason behind them going to counselling. If they do, it's simply to manipulate and to somehow, whether through the therapist, or their partner, to gain narcissistic supply, because often they'll use that session to get their partner. This is why I say never go to counselling with your narcissistic partner, because they will manipulate. The narcissist will manipulate the session so that you're pouring out more of your heart. You're basically handing over all your cards to the narcissist, so they have more to manipulate you with. And of course, they an unskilled with regard to narcissism, a counsellor will provide extra fuel, to the narcissist, and re-victimize you, the person who's going there. So yeah, in answer to your question, no, they don't change, and you're only going to get further abused if you think you can change them, Nicole. In fact, they only get worse.
And
Yeah.
we don't change people.
Um,
There's such a huge symptom of that we have in these relationships. We want to help, we want to change, but you have to realize that people change on their own. Uh, if you want to change, there's nobody that's going to do that for you. It's
right.
you that does that, and we can support people and be there for them and listen and stuff like that, but we don't change people.
No, no, that's right. And I know it sounds cliche, David, but that the first step towards change is awareness. That you have something to change, and that's never
What
going
do
to
I want
happen.
to change? Yeah, yeah. Why are you
Yeah,
here? What do you want to change? Yeah.
yeah. Oh, I don't want to change anything, says the narcissist. I'm only here because they brought me. It's they just don't
Look how hard
change.
it is for us to recover from this and to change our lives. It's not easy. You think, yeah,
And and victims want to change, don't they? They want to engage in, and they want to soak up any kind of support and advice you can give them. So a narcissist, you giving them advice is just, yeah, you may as well be talking to a brick wall. Yeah.
yeah.
We've got David Bridger here. David, you might be, well, no, you can answer this one. This is down your area. David Bridges says, so borderline personality disorders go hand in hand? Question mark.
I'm assuming he means with narcissism.
Yeah, I think that's all he said. I think David means, does if someone has narcissistic personality disorder, does that necessarily mean they have borderline personality disorder as well? Do they go hand in hand?
According to the DSM, they're separate personality disorders, but they're also in the
Yeah,
cluster B, which shares almost so many traits, almost all of them.
yeah,
Borderline
yeah,
personality disorder, a major trait of borderline is narcissism. And don't forget
yeah,
that all of these are on spectrums. So you could have a
yeah.
borderline that doesn't seem very narcissistic.
Yeah, there's a lot of overlap, isn't there? And that's why, depending on what research you read, it's like the jury's still out. There is so much overlap, but there is definite differences there. And I know one difference is that, but a narcissist will, it's all about them, and they will be the ones to discard you. Whereas the borderline, it's all about you know, their partner, and they make their entire life revolve around, you know, their attachment to you, and you know, anything that threatens that attachment, you know, brings on the, you know, the borderline symptoms.
And one of the major, absolute major things that drives borderline is fear of abandonment. So
Yeah.
you can almost trace every single behavior of theirs to that.
Absolutely. And isn't it funny that the narcissist actually has a fear of abandonment, but they, well, I guess like the borderline, they sabotage their own abandonment. But how do I explain this? That they both kind of have a fear of abandonment, but the narcissist will bring it on to gain
Yeah.
narcissistic supply from you know, the pain that they cause you during the abandonment. So they fear it, and yet they sabotage it so that they can, you know, gain that fuel and seek out a new victim.
Right. A narcissist discards because they're literally just done with you. And they may even turn around and look back and watch you in pain and enjoy it. Whereas a
Yeah.
borderline is such, they're driven by such fear of abandonment, they'll actually abandon the relationship. But what they're doing is abandoning a part of themselves that they've invested in that relationship. They're abandoning themselves. They're always going to do this. They're always going to hurt themselves.
Yeah, yeah, and the behaviours they engage in. Look, I know there would be overlap, but you know, like the self-harming and the, you know, the you know, sometimes the promiscuity and just that addiction issues
Attention.
and things like that.
Yeah. The borderline is the, you know, the little child, the 2-year-old screaming, I'm here, it's me, it's me. Look at me, I'm here. I exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and if you know, if you're with a borderline, you know, if you're 5 minutes late home from work, or you know, if you're late home from an evening out, they immediately assume, you know, that you're abandoning them. That there's just that huge fear of abandonment, and they go into, you know, like a
Object
meltdown
constancy.
because.
Yeah.
So
Object constancy. If you're not telling me you love me all the time, you don't love me. Yeah.
absolutely, yeah, that's right. So it's that all or nothing, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
David Bridges
Definitely.
says, okay, that makes total sense. Yeah, I'm well
Yeah.
glad that's helped, David. Venus
Well,
is here. Hi, David and Nova. Hi, Venus. How you
hello, Venus.
going? Who else have we got here? We've got Ali Schultz says hello. Hi, Ali. Tracy's here. Hi, Tracy. Cara Banks is here. You guys are so great. Oh, going to give us a big head here, Cara. Great. Really making people who are broken understand that it's not them. Well, if you know, we help one person tonight, Cara, then yeah, our job is done. So thank you for those kind words. Okay, guys, fire your questions at us. I'm just having a look here. Who else we've got? Okay, Aletha's here. Hi, Aletha, Vanessa West, and Rebecca. Okay, so no more questions at this stage, David. So I thought we might just continue on with the conversation we were having around CPTSD, and just, you know, maybe, I guess, tell everyone what the differences are between, say, complex post-traumatic stress disorder and just post-traumatic stress disorder, because I know there's sometimes a lot of confusion around that.
Sure. So PTSD, it would be considered by a single event, and it's not a single moment, a single event. You know, and we most commonly know this or recognize it or as soldiers that go to war. It's that whole time they're gone, and they come back and they have to recover from that trauma. But CPTSD, that C in front of it stands for complex. It's much, much more complex, and it's the easiest way for me to explain it is the trauma you have as a child resurfaces in your adult life. And it's a long, long, long period of trauma that is, you know, too much for our brains to handle. Um, PTSD is in the DSM. CPTSD is not yet. And CPTSD was formed because of so many subset of disorders that people are having from this experience. So we've got, you know, depression disorders, anxiety disorders, eating disorders, addiction, stuff like this, all make up CPTSD.
Yeah. So I guess the complex, the C for complex, kind of means, the interaction of many layers of trauma, all interacting together. So it's not just about one incident, like that example you said about, um, people coming back from war, or perhaps someone, was in a car accident or something like that. And just that one incident, I guess, triggers the symptoms, whereas complex is there's just so much. You can't just look at the one issue that's going on for that person, because there's just so many layers to it that have been
Yeah.
going on for so long, and that's
There's
why
so many
it's
traumatic
complex.
memories and emotions that we can't see the whole story of our lives usually. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, Venus says, why do we get triggered? Oh, look, it could be anything, Venus. There's just such a myriad of reasons for that. Smells, hearing a song, that reminds you of the trauma. I had one person come to see me who had experienced sexual abuse, as a child, and they every time they saw a man who was bald with a mustache, they just went into meltdown, and they basically, ran and hid, because it just brought so much of that trauma back into the front of their brain. So that was a huge trigger for that person, was seeing someone who resembled the person who sexually abused them as a child. So yeah, David, you would have, I guess, had lots of people talk about different kinds of triggers that come to see you as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Lots. And it affects everybody, grown men. I've had people tell me they're in the shower, everything's great, and they drop to the floor, can't get up, don't know what the hell happened. And they don't. And a lot of these triggers, we don't know what it was. It's more
Yeah,
subconscious. Yeah.
that's absolutely right. You know, Venus, you might be out shopping. A lot of people, shopping's a really big one, or driving along in a car, and it could be anything that brings that subconscious stuff to the forefront, and it's like that. It's telling you that that's an unaddressed wound that you need to kind of target and work through.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's something our
Yeah,
brains don't understand, can't
no,
process correctly. Anytime we have a traumatic memory, our brain attaches a normal day-to-day memory to that. And I use the same example all the time, as we may have something traumatic in our life, and maybe we, for some reason, attach that to a green car. So not every time, maybe, but maybe sometime we see that green car and it just triggers our brain. We have part of our brain that is always looking for danger to keep us alive, keep us safe. It's always looking for danger. When our brains are traumatized, that is in hyperdrive. Everything is dangerous to us now. Everything.
yeah. And
Yeah.
yeah, and look, when we're in that position of trauma, when we are being traumatized, I'm going to use the case of, the person who's at war, and they're hearing all these gunshots, and grenades, or whatever it is, going off around them. Um, you know, they might come back from war, and they might hear, say, a car backfire. Okay, so, and that might send them into a meltdown, and it's because of the pairing of those stimuli, of the pairing of the loud crack with an absolute anxiety and fear, that creates a new feeling, a new behavior, which is the fear of the car backfiring. So all these things happen on a subconscious level without us knowing about it. And yeah, it just could be anything. But what I always say to the people who come to see me, Venus, is when you do get those triggers and you don't understand them, as I said before, all those triggers are unaddressed wounds. Okay, your subconscious is telling you something. Write it down, because it's something that you can talk about later on and work through. Because if you bury it and you don't bring it to the surface and work through it, it's only going to rear its head again, and it could be at a really awful time in your life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like if someone asks you a question about your childhood and you immediately feel bad about it and you're scared and there's something in your childhood that you need to talk about.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, a lot of that stuff does sit in the subconscious, and we often don't really, remember it until we get one of those triggers when we're
Our
older.
our brains our brains are on different frequencies, different times, and trauma is a totally different frequency. We'll store these memories in that frequency, but we also have the emotions attached to them. So a
Yeah,
lot of times these pop up in our head and we don't know why, we don't know where they're from. We'll just have the
yeah,
feel, just the feeling will come up, the emotion. Yeah.
yeah, and often, David, that those feelings that children do experience, in those early years when they're suffering the abuse or the neglect or the whatever trauma it is, that burying that memory, it's kind of like a coping mechanism, disassociating from the trauma. They will, on a really, in a childlike way, bury that memory to be able to cope with what they're going through. And that's why, so often when you do, get to an adult and you're having all these triggers you don't understand, often that can be, the result of something, that you did go through when you were a child, and you to be able to cope in that situation, your brain said, no, this is too much for us. We're getting out of here. And that it was like a safety mechanism, yeah, a coping
Yeah.
mechanism.
Well, I mean, your brain just needs to relax. It just needs to relax. The soldiers come back from war, their brain doesn't know the war's over. It takes a long time for their brains to just relax and say the war's over. So this kind of trauma for years, stemming from childhood, it takes a while to heal. It just takes a while.
Absolutely. And it takes, people, you've got to remember that being in a relationship with a narcissist is trauma that did go on for a long time. So you do have to allow that time to heal, and you can't expect yourself to just heal overnight simply because you're no longer in that war zone. So yeah, very
And that's why
important
it's so
for that.
important that we don't do this again. We can't keep doing this. You can't get into another relationship, another one, and another one, and just think, oh, someday I'll figure it out. You got to figure it out today. You can't keep doing this.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it starts with cold turkey, battening down those hatches and going cold turkey, no contact from the narcissist. There is no way around, under, or over that tunnel. You have to go through it and face, face what you don't want to face. And just, yeah, complete and utter cold turkey,
Yeah.
no contact. Yeah. Okay, got more questions here. Um, Patricia Armbrust, good morning from Tampa, Florida. Hi, Patricia. Thank you for staying up. Good morning. Thank you so much for the education. It's very therapeutic. Our pleasure. No problem at all, Patricia. Who else we got? We've got Carmen Waters. Carmen says, is narcissism hereditary? David, do you want to answer that one?
Narcissism is very not done being understood. And all these personality disorders, we are finding out that there is possible genetic links. Narcissism does not have to be genetic, but they think that it can be. It can be. Um,
Yeah.
Narcissistic personality disorders is probably the biggest misunderstood disorder in the cluster B. Matter of fact, they almost left it out of the DSM
Yeah.
once. And as far as the source, doctors argue about it, how it happened. But um,
I think that one of the problems, David, is there's no guinea pigs because narcissists do not go to therapy. They don't go to, have themselves examined and to be diagnosed. You're more likely to see a borderline, in therapy, they're
yeah,
more likely to be able to change their behavior rather than a narcissist. So,
yeah,
the figures you get around narcissists are way, I believe, way understated simply because how do you know, where do you get the figures to make those kind of statistics? It's just yeah.
You don't have generations to study of narcissists. Yeah.
Yeah, the very nature of narcissism is that they do not seek help. So there's no, how do you work out a methodology? How do you work out, a target group to research? It's virtually
Doctors
impossible.
don't even really have notes to compare.
That's right. That's absolutely right. Yeah, is it hereditary? Look, yeah, totally agree with David. Carmen, there's research says, yeah, there's a genetic component there, and other research says that it's more environmental. Monkey see, monkey do. That the child is raised in a traumatic environment. They're abused or they're
I
over
have
nurtured.
I have yet to hear of a narcissist that you can't find the why they are. It's abuse and
Yeah,
neglect and things like this, misappropriate attention from the parents. You know,
yeah.
yeah, the neglect and the rewarding for nothing for being bad and no punishment for being bad and stuff like this.
Yeah, or as you said, rewarded for being bad. Like getting a slap on the back and saying, "Yeah, that's wonderful, son." If they steal or they cheat or something,
Steal
being
for me.
rewarded for
Yeah.
bad behavior and given no attention whatsoever for for good behavior. It can be all
Punished
sorts
for
of
having
stuff.
an opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so is it hereditary? Yeah, definitely it can be environmental as well. That it can be both. That if there's a genetic predisposition to it, and then the narcissist is raised in an environment where both the parents are narcissists and they're role modeling, those inappropriate behaviors to them, they're kind of going to get a double whammy, aren't they? They've got the DNA there, and they've also got, they're seeing this inappropriate modeling, going on all the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think a bit of both there, Carmen. It doesn't have to be a bit of both. I get, as you would know, David, you would have adult um, victims of narcissistic parents. So they obviously haven't taken narcissism, into their adulthood. That they don't suffer from NPD, but they had parents with NPD, so it obviously didn't filter down to them. So it can be, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah. But like I said, you can always trace back in the source and find out why they are. It seems like I have been able to, and
Yeah, yeah,
you could take a family, you could take siblings, 5 siblings, and one of them's a narcissist, and they'll always tell you why. They know why that child grew up that way, why they turned out that
yeah,
way. They
yeah,
got abused more than anyone else and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay, who else have we got here? Um, We've got Shari Hug. Hi, Shari. How you going? Thank you for joining us. Jen Claxton. Jen Claxton says, how you going, Jen? Are you ever really able to resolve what has happened? I think I'm finding it more difficult because I'm forced to continue with him being in my life. As we have the children, it now comes through to the kids. Um, are you ever able to resolve what has happened? What do you think about that, David?
Of course you can resolve it, but never with them.
Yeah, yeah. It's never, you're never going to change. Hold on,
Up
Jen's
here
got a
you can
little bit more.
resolve it. You can resolve what happened in here. But you're never going to
Yeah.
resolve it with them. No.
Um, I I kind of take from your words, Jen. I'm just going to reframe that a little bit and say that maybe what you want is closure. You want closure. You want to be able to put a big, ribbon around it and put it to rest and go, okay, I dealt with that. And that's one of the hardest things, isn't it, David, to comfort, some victims or all victims to come to terms with is the fact that you're never going to get closure with the narcissist. You
Mm.
have to come to terms with that. You're never going to be able to change the past. You're never going to get closure. And I think really wrapping your head around that fact is going to, really help you move on. Jen says, I'm forced to continue with him being in my life as we have the children. It now comes through to the kids. Yeah, look, Jen, as I always say, when you have kids together, clearly you can't go complete and utter no contact. Grey rock, minimal contact. You don't have to react to this person. You don't have to run when they say run simply because you have children together. You need to work out a system whereby you can contact each other, possibly email, definitely not mobile. It's only going to trigger your anxiety. And look, you can't change what goes on in the house of the narcissist. You can only change, what goes on in your house. You can only be the best parent that you can be. And I guess, short of overt child abuse, where, you can contact the Child Protection Agency, you can't do anything about what they do in their home. It's beyond your control. You have to look at the variables you can change. Yeah. So yeah, I hope that's helped a little bit, Jen. It's really hard when you've got kids together, and so many of you contact me all the time because you've got kids. And if you want to come and have a one-on-one, I can talk to you about strategies, but it's just so important not to react to their baiting. They will, the ex-partners, when you've got who are parents of your children, they will try and bait you into anything. Little Johnny needs a book up at the school. Oh, you're a horrible mother because, you didn't want to take that book up to them. Look at the worst case scenario and look at whether they're provoking you and baiting you, and don't give them, any reaction, and work out your strategies around how you're going to maintain grey rock. Okay.
Right.
Sharon's joined. Hi, Sharon. How you going? Who else have we got here? Excuse me. Venus says, I was the scapegoat child. Even now, as an adult, I feel the family has scapegoated me, even though I don't allow family to bully me anymore. Why do they not stop scapegoating me, even though I'm not fearful of standing? Whoops. Sorry, guys. I'm not standing. I can't see the end of your comment there, Venus. But yeah, Venus is talking about being the scapegoat child and feeling that way still now as an adult. And why do they continue to bully her even though she's an adult?
Yeah, well, the scapegoat, that's a role. That's a role they decided for you a long time ago. They probably have the hero child, might be your older sibling, and they get all the good stuff, you get all the bad stuff. Something very common with disordered parents. There's no autonomy. So you go out and represent me, so everything you do, you have to do this, and that you succeed and you excel, and that's us doing it. And everything bad about us, we're going to give it to you. My best recommendation is, look, all of you, if you've found out, discovered this information, and you've learned it, and you are noticing that your parents are still treating you exactly the same, then that should tell you that you haven't changed that much either. Because I'm telling you, if you go away for a little while and you heal and you get better, you will change, and they will respond to that. I'm not going to tell you exactly how, I couldn't tell you, but they will change as well. Because what you have done their whole life is meet their needs. You've been meeting needs of theirs. And once you change, that stops. Whether you're conscious of it or not, that stops. And they will react to that. So if they're treating you exactly the same, I would keep working on yourself and creating more space with them. You have to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Fantastic advice there, David. It's about, creating, boundaries too. Like David said, if you continue to feed them, narcissistic supply, which is the essence is what you're doing by reacting to them. They provoke, they set all the little bombs out there and wait for the bombs to go off. You react to those bombs, and you're giving them narcissistic supply. But once you change the rules of the game and you put boundaries in place, and tell them, hey, I'm no longer your little scapegoat child that you can abuse anymore, they're going to react. They'll they'll probably up the ante for a little while and try and find all these little loopholes to get in through to get a reaction from you. Or they could try anything, but yeah, their behavior will change, just like David said. Yeah, so look at what you're doing, Venus, and I guess work on strategies to change that.
The scapegoat is there. You're there for them because they feel like crap about themselves, and they're just going to give it to you. I feel bad, so I'm going to make you feel bad. Narcissists have to make people feel the same way they do.
Yeah, they project all that awful stuff inside, they project it outwards. And if there is no situation, no drama going on to reflect how bad they feel on the inside, they create it. So they create the drama on the outside in their environment to match how they feel. Yeah. So,
and children.
Sorry, Dad, go on. You go on.
I was going to say, children, it's very typical, the roles that are played out, and it's not you, it's the parents. The first child, there's a reason the first child is the one that succeeds the most, because they're making you do that. And the bad child, they consider the next one the bad one. So I'm going to just treat you like crap. I feel like crap. I'm going to make you feel like crap. The older one is the one I want everyone to see and make them think that's me. That's how I am. This is who I am. And I make the other one feel like crap, makes me feel better about myself. Yeah. It's all image, and it's all that they're so shame-based. Anybody treats you like crap, it's their own insecurities. That's all it is.
It's all image management. Yeah, definitely. And it's also about triangulation. Those roles that you have as a child. The scapegoat child and the golden child. That's just a couple of them. The narcissist intentionally creates those roles. There is no accident that you became the scapegoat child and your sibling became the golden child, because the narcissistic parent needed to set up those roles so that they can triangulate you and continue to shift those spots on the triangle to keep themselves up on a pedestal. Because if you as a scapegoat child, if you're continually watching the golden child get all the rewards and get looked after and the pats on the back, you want that. So you're going to try harder. The narcissist is going to continue to shift the goalposts, but you're going to continue to try harder, which gives the narcissist what they want. It gives them power, and it's just so cruel to do to their own children, but they do it.
Yeah, they don't have empathy. They aren't seeing how they make you feel. They don't care. It doesn't bother them. They can't feel it.
Yeah. And, children of narcissists, they grow up with incredibly low self-esteem, don't they, David? And they think they can't succeed because throughout their lives they've, just like I said before, they've continually had the goalpost shifted. So every time they thought they were getting close to making, mum and dad happy and achieving something for them so that their parents could say, I love you. Yeah, you did well. The narcissistic parent would rip at that reward, that potential reward away from them and give them something else to try and achieve. You guys take that into adulthood and you fear success and you don't think you're worthy of success. And it's just a cruel existence.
It's sabotage. It's sabotaged by your own parents.
Yeah. And then they take advantage of it. The parents take advantage of it by because they know, children of toxic parents will, even into adulthood, they will continue to try and please the adult narcissist, the parent. And so this gives the toxic parent this ability to put guilt on their adult children and, shame on them and guilt trip them into visiting them all the time or doing things for them and pitting them against siblings. And it can go on and on forever until you work out what that toxic parent is doing, and that it's okay to stay away from toxic family members.
It's really hard for a child that grew up with a narcissist to have a sense of self, because they don't allow that. They don't permit it. You can't be you. You are here for me. You're going to pay attention to my feelings. You're going to do what I want. and I don't want to hear about you. I don't want to hear about your
Yeah,
opinions. Yeah,
yeah.
your feelings.
And
Yeah,
it's about pleasing.
very
You know,
sad.
they go on trying to please people their whole life, and you know,
A,
it's
a
just,
child of a
very,
narcissist, yeah, a child of a narcissist is going to be a narcissist, a borderline, or have C-PTSD.
yeah,
An
yeah,
abusive narcissist. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I hope that's helped, guys. Who else have we got here? Um, Nicole Parker. Nicole says, my issue is my ex is disowning our 3-year-old son in refusing to support our son because I won't be in a relationship with him. Is this all part of his narcissistic behavior? Uh, okay, I'll tackle that one. Nicole, look, you know, as David was speaking about a little bit before, narcissism, it runs on a spectrum, so it's really hard to say from, you know, from here, from my point of view, whether that person is a narcissist or not. But I'm assuming that why you're here tonight is because, you know, you've done all your research and you've come up with the fact that you believe they definitely are. Could that be part of their narcissistic behavior? Absolutely. Power and control is, you know, it's, and plus the fact that you're no longer with them. So, you know, they're pulling out all stops to get you to engage with them. And it doesn't matter whether they're getting negative or positive fuel from you. And as we know, children are simply objects to the narcissist to be used to gain supply from, just like you were as the partner. Is this part of their narcissistic behavior? It absolutely can be. Narcissism, it's all about power and control. And this is what a
Yeah,
great way to control you, but through your child.
amazing. And just don't let your guard down for a minute. Don't think that he is doesn't really care. I get it. He may not care about the children, but he cares about the situation. He may be
Yeah,
getting you to let your guard down. So, take advantage of this. Get him to sign custody over to you,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Look,
and then go after him for child support. But I'm telling you guys, you can't play with these people. And all too often, I hear people say, "Oh, I'm going to get revenge on them. I'm going to do this back to them. I'm going to trick them. I'm going to do that." You're not. No, you're not. Don't let your guard
you,
down. Don't believe they've changed. Don't believe they care all of a sudden, no matter what they say.
yeah, yeah. Look, everything a narcissist does, Nicole, is manipulative. That it's about what's in it for them. So if they're being nice to you, um, whatever
Telling
they're
you the
doing,
truth,
it's because they're
whatever.
going to get something from that. Yeah. So, you know, if your ex is disowning your 3-year-old, I'm I'm assuming that, well, by you saying that your ex is disowning your 3-year-old child, are you worried about that? Are you worried that because your 3-year-old's not going to have that person in your life and you want to maintain contact? Because if that's where you're coming from, it's never going to work. You can't promote that contact. And if they all of a sudden do decide to have contact because you've instigated it, it's from their point of view that it's not because they want to spend time with the child. It's to get you involved in that triangle again. It's to give them power and narcissistic supply. So I would be looking after you, looking after your child, and doing what you need to do to be a good mum. And if they want to have contact with their child, then they will. But you need to go down the right avenues to do that. And I would have a really, really good lawyer.
Yeah, now, every child needs two parents, but I don't think a narcissist parent is okay for a child. I mean, I don't want to tell anybody
Yeah,
what to do with their children, but yes, yes, their father, if their father's a narcissist, may provide some things for the child, but it's not worth it in the long run when it comes to the manipulation they do to the child. It's just not worth it.
yeah. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, look, just get a really good lawyer, Nicole, because you're never going to be able to go into court with your own self-diagnosis, you know, diagnosing the person as a narcissist yourself. But, you know, certainly get someone, try and find a lawyer who's experienced with it, and you can, tell them all the issues that are going on, and they can work on a really good, court-ordered plan for you. Yeah. Okay, who else have we got? Jen Claxton says, I think I'm struggling a lot with reconciling that my entire life over the past 14 years was what I now know was constructed by a master puppeteer. Yeah, what a horrible awakening. David, did you want to talk to Jen about that?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Jen. You know, keep learning. Find the truth of what's really going on. Find out what they are. Usually, it helps me. It helped me, and it helps other people to start looking at them as not so much this title, but as just sick, and they're doing what they do. They do it to anybody. It's not personal, even though I know it's totally personal. But I'm saying they're not picking and choosing. They're not selective. This is how they are. This is who they are. This is how they live. If you could start seeing they're sick and I was sick for dating them, for being with them, for some reason that seems to help. Instead of just, this total monster, I had no idea who they were for 12 years or whatever, It's like you start seeing that you did. Start seeing the red flags and the little signs you had and things that you ignored and times you should have left. I'm not trying to blame you. It's so much easier to see that. It's easier to accept for me and other people that I've helped do this for. You know what I mean? Rather than just, I had no idea, I've been fooled for 12 years. I loved them, but now I know they're a monster. It's like, that's shocking.
Yeah.
You knew it was a bad relationship. You knew it was dysfunctional. You knew something was wrong with him at some point, right? Think about that time where you went, God, there's something not right about him, something weird. And we usually ignore it,
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know why, but it just seems easier to handle that way of the initial shock. Yeah.
Yeah, totally agree, David. There's it is what it is, Jen, but it wasn't your fault, and you have the power now to make to be so much stronger. And look, I know it sounds cliche, but to look for the lesson in the madness, because there was some reason that happened to you. And it's going to make you so much stronger. You're going to be different, but you're going to be stronger.
Yeah, look forward to everything you're going to learn and how much better you're going to feel in the long run. This is just a part of the story. This isn't the whole picture. There's so much more, okay?
Yeah.
So much more.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely, Jen. So yeah, keep being positive, because you've got your whole future now, and you're away from that individual, and they no longer have any power over you, and you can make your future so much better and so much brighter. So yeah, be strong.
Your life will be better than it ever has if you do the work.
Absolutely. Aletha, hi Aletha, how you going? Aletha says, what happens if both your parents are narcissistic? Look, I think we kind of spoke about this a little bit before, didn't we, David? Look, there's a genetic component there, and there's also an environmental component there, Aletha. But just because you've got two narcissistic parents, I know a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to be a narcissist, and they really worry about that because they had narcissistic parents, and they really struggle with that. And as we know, the very fact that you're questioning this means that you're not. But yeah,
it's not an illness.
No, it's not something you can catch. And if this is something that you're worried about, Jen, just the mere fact that you're concerned about it, a narcissist wouldn't be concerned about it. They have no ability to self-reflect on anything that they think might be hurting someone. They wouldn't care. they'd be happy if they're hurting someone because that person must have deserved it. So
The most
yeah.
honest reaction I got from a narcissist when I told them they're a narcissist is, "No, I'm not. I'm a sociopath." Okay. No, narcissist wasn't good enough.
whatever,
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
floats your boat. Tomatoes, tomatoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what? So I'm not a narcissist? How dare you call me a narcissist? I'm a sociopath,
That's so beneath
Okay.
me. Yeah.
Okay, wow. I'd love to know how that they think that's any better, but yeah, who knows what goes through their minds. Yeah. Okay, we've got uh, Nicole says, I've just ended up ignoring and not baiting him. Yeah, that's exactly what you need to do, Nicole. Don't well, you certainly don't want to bait him because you'd be providing him with fuel.
It's the
Yeah.
cure. It's the cure to narcissism. There is one cure to narcissism.
What's
Everyone
that,
ignores
Dave?
them. Every single
Yeah.
person ignores them, and they won't act like a
Yeah.
narcissist anymore. Trust me.
I've never thought of it that way, but you're absolutely right. Like how true. They cannot live, a narcissist cannot be a narcissist without the reactions, without
Without us.
the
Without
attention
us.
from other
Yeah.
people. Yeah,
Yeah. Without
so
us. They're a narcissist. They're a narcissist for what they do, and because of our reaction. Both of us.
yeah, so no contact. Like you know, I know it's hard when they're baiting you and they're provoking you, Nicole, and you want to you want to get them back and you want to say, yeah, I told all these people about you, and whatever you do, you think you might be hurting them. You can't hurt someone who doesn't have a conscience. All you're doing is saying to them, you know what, you still have an effect on my life. You are still affecting me, and they love that. The best thing you can do is go complete and utter no contact, and they will be beside themselves because you're no longer giving them your attention. That is what will do them in.
Yeah, that's the worst thing you
Yeah.
could do. I don't need you. I don't want you. I've risen above this, and now I'm successful without you, and only without
Oh,
you.
yeah. I'm thriving without you. They won't be able to stand it. And yeah, they
Because
will.
they never will thrive. They never will change. They'll never be happy. They'll never thrive. They'll never be successful.
Yeah, because they put so much work into you, into having you believe that you were nothing. You were nothing without them, and you would never amount to anything. All those horrible things they told you to get you to stay as, one of their harem of victims, and so you proving them wrong. That's you seeing behind their mask that they're not so superior to everyone else, as they thought they were. So yeah, you're not allowed to succeed. No, not by any stretch of the means. So yeah, good work, Nicole. Ignoring, not baiting him, complete and utter no contact, minimal contact if you have children, and you need to work some strategies out around that minimal contact. So you're not feeding the monster, or not the monster, the narcissist. Yeah. Okay, we've got Sharon Clark says, great advice, guys. Thank you, Sharon. Who else have we got here tonight? Kelly Dorrington. Hi, Kelly. Thank you for coming back. Kelly says, I've just been what I think is a Hoover after 3 months of no contact. I've been strong and not replied. Good on you, Kelly. But I find it hard to wish that they were different. I'm assuming you mean by that you're really struggling with the no contact because you kind of miss them and you wish they were different and you wish you didn't have to go no contact. That's what I think Kelly means. David,
Yeah.
is that what you think
Yeah,
from
I
that?
think it's just it's your hope is getting killed. You're holding on to that
Not
hope.
hope.
You wish it was like it was in the beginning, and you wish the promises he told you were real and happening.
Yeah, absolutely. It is so normal, Kelly. That will come. The longer you go, no contact. I just want to let you know it's totally normal. You've got to remember that even that now how toxic this relationship was, and you know all the ins and outs of narcissistic abuse, you're also grieving. You're grieving. Your grieving is twofold. You're grieving a relationship that you put so much, love and time and effort into, and you thought that was reciprocated. But you're also grieving a relationship that you now know never existed. So you've got that double whammy. So you're grieving through this relationship, and it's normal to miss the good times, that you thought, even though they weren't real, you miss that person you thought existed. Believe me, the longer you go no contact and the more support you get and the more you talk about it, the easier it will get. But it's really normal to feel that way. But just remember exactly who you're dealing with and think of all those awful things that they did to you.
Yeah, a good thing to do is take the time and get a long piece of paper and write down everything they've done, everything they said that was wrong and bad and red flags. Write down everything you've missed out in your life because of this person. Write down everything you've lost. Write down everything. And if you have to, keep it up on your bathroom mirror, your closet, wherever, so you see it, so you're reminded, so you don't forget. If that's what you need to do.
Yeah, it's absolutely. I so totally agree with David, Kelly, because it's normal for you to cling on to the memories of those good times. It's not you. It's part of the conditioning process from being with the narcissist and having your expectations managed down so far over that period of time that, as you would remember, when you were with them, you would accept any kind of behavior. They might make you a coffee or a sandwich one day. That's them being kind to you. So it's your expectations of what is someone being really loving to you has been managed right down. So you're used to clinging onto tiny little threads of the good times and not remembering, the bad times through that conditioning. So yeah, it will. Do what David said and write down a list, and whenever you feel like you're missing them, read over how they potentially, that they nearly destroyed your life, and they probably are still attempting to do that. Yeah. Who else have we got? Jen says, totally, I took away all his contact with me. He can only go through my solicitor, and he does not like that at all. No, of course not. He can't watch you react if you've got a solicitor, involved, Jen, can he?
And a manipulator needs you closer. If you're emailing a narcissist, then they want to text you. If you're texting, they want to call you on the phone. They want to talk to you on the phone. If you're talking to them on the phone, then we got to meet. We got to see you in person. Because I need that to manipulate you. Yeah.
Absolutely. And they will stop at nothing. I've had a couple of people come to see me just the last week or two. They've said, when they've instigated the email because they've gotten rid of the mobile phone contact with their ex-partner, simply because of the triggers and the anxiety it raises every time they talk to them on the phone, or even just see their name come up on their phone. And then, the narcissist will rock up on their doorstep, and say, oh, if you were a good parent, or if you were a good mother or a good father, you would come out and talk to me about the welfare of our children, and all this guilt tripping and just trying anything to get you to break the no contact. So yeah, don't be surprised if they pull out those kinds of strategies, Jen. It's just
one
incredible.
Good thing to learn. One thing that I've learned is if you can find your core vulnerability, if you can find out what that is, because we all have one, and I know that we all have shame, we all have fears, but if you find out exactly what your core vulnerability is, you will realize that they know that about you, and they will feed and exploit that as much as they can. So either you're afraid, typically we're afraid of being deprivation of things we need, or a fear of shame, like a fear of failure. And they will exploit that so bad.
Yeah.
They'll know what that is. Yeah.
Oh, of course. Well, don't forget, how can we forget? They go fishing. they go fishing in when they first meet you, you know, in that that love bombing stage, that, you know, that golden era when you think, oh my goodness, this person, we have so much in common. They hate broccoli, I hate broccoli. They love country music, I love country music, and you know, it's just all just they're just mirroring, you know, whatever you like and whatever you dislike. And of course, you feel relaxed and comfortable in talking to them about your deepest, darkest fears. You know, apparently, you know, perhaps that you might have told them, you know, all the awful names that your ex called you. And, you know, rest assured that when they're devaluing you, you know, oh, I totally understand how your ex thought that you were crazy. And, you know, I agree with them now. And all that
Yeah.
stuff that you told them in
Tell
confidence will
about
be
the
used
worst
against you.
trauma in your life. Tell the narcissist about the worst trauma in your life, and look how many times it will come up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. What a better it's just they need an arsenal of you know, all your the chinks in your armor, all those things that you really, yeah, you've experienced that traumatized you, that made you feel awful about yourself. You know, you'll talk to in confidence to them, and they will be, yeah, they will be used against you. So that's why I say, yeah, when you do start, I guess, hitting that dating scene again, which I hope will be a long way off when you're healed, don't don't let them know about any real personal stuff in the very beginning, because yeah, it's, you just don't know. Be very careful. It's okay to have those boundaries. I know a lot of you think, you know, when will it be okay to trust again, and when will I be able to let down my guard? Well, I don't think that there's anything wrong with having that type of boundaries, you know, with you know, not telling everyone your deepest, darkest secrets to begin with. And if someone's fishing for that information really early on, that's a red flag to me anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Or telling you the same. All my
Yeah.
girlfriends have all cheated on me and broke up with me, and I've been having a hard time with it. But here I am on a dating site, and I like you. But you know,
Yeah, absolutely. The forever victim, aren't they? You know,
if
they have
anybody
either
thinks it's
all their
yeah, if
exes
anybody
are
thinks it's
either
yeah, if anyone thinks
sorry.
it's okay to tell someone you just started dating, or the first date, second date, about this stuff that you've been through it, go on a dating site, put as your main theme as I just got out of a 10-year emotional abusive relationship, and see who contacts you. Just
Yeah,
more. Just more. Like,
yeah,
oh, good,
more
another
nasty.
target. Yeah.
Yeah, like a shark or a wolf, you know, to blood. They will seek you out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so be very, very careful, guys. Yeah, just some really good words of advice there.
The
Okay.
ideal person to date isn't necessarily someone who's been through this as well. Let me tell you that, guys, because these are problems with relationships. If we've been in a relationship with an abuser, we also have a problem with relationships. So that's something we need to work on. So it's not always a good idea to find and meet and date someone who's also been through this. The ideal person to
Yeah,
date is someone who doesn't know this stuff. That's a great
yeah,
person to date. Yeah, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, look, narcissists they'll always have a string, as you guys will know, you've done your research, they'll always have a string of victims behind them, and they'll let you know really early just what a poor victim they are. And all their exes will either be crazy or they'll be obsessed with the narcissist, you know, and that will, you know, set the stage for having you say to them, you know, I will never hurt you, I will never do that to you, and also getting jealous of the obsessed exes, which no doubt will just be coming, you know, reacting to the discard and all the horror associated with that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's all a big setup, and it's all manufactured, and it's all
100%.
intentional.
100%.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Okay. Um, Venus, I love you guys. Thank you, Venus. Um, Jen, I think I think even strong people too, because it seems to be like a challenge to them. I actually remember the very specific moment. I would have known if I knew then what I know now. What do you mean? Which specific moment? Which aha moment are you talking about, Jen? The specific moment when they were setting you up, pretending that they were a victim? I'm not
Yeah, I think
sure.
so.
Yeah. Okay, guys, it's nearly come to the end of the night. Have we got any more questions for David and I before we wrap it up? Let me have a look, see if there's any I've missed.
I can address something too before we get off, before we're done.
Sorry, what was that, David? I missed that.
I'd like to address something, something about professional help that we seek after this. I guess I'll do it now.
Yeah, yeah,
A
definitely
lot
go
of
for
us,
it.
yeah, a lot of us, if we seek professional help, we may get directed to a psychiatrist who gets us on some type of drugs, medication. A lot of it is
Yeah,
antidepressants. And I want everyone to know, if you need these, take it. I'm not trying to be against this. I want you guys to be aware of some things that antidepressants, they can call it that, but it's anti-emotion. So that's why you're taking it. Your emotions are too high. And if you need to, take them. What I want you to know that is, you're not going to feel, you can't pick out depression, anxiety, sadness. It's emotion. So all of your emotions are numbed when you take antidepressants across the board. You won't experience as much joy and happiness as well. But another important thing to know is, it won't help you to just be on antidepressants for a very, very long time. You're not going to recover very well, because eventually you have to start feeling this stuff on your own. It's very important. We're used to suppressing and numbing emotions our whole life. And that's what got us into this trouble. We're not listening to our bodies when we have those red flags telling us, watch out for this, that guy's no good, that girl's no good. So we need to feel our emotions. What we need to do is start processing them correctly and reacting correctly. We can't do that on antidepressants. And
yeah,
also know that if we have emotional trauma in our brains, a lot of specific parts of our brain are deflated and don't react very well to antidepressants. I have had many clients that started taking antidepressants. I asked it to help. They're like, I don't know. And then they stop taking it. I say, you see a difference? They're like, no. And anybody that's taken antidepressants and stops taking them knows how bad that can be. You can be very depressed. So if you're not feeling anything on them and you stop taking, you don't feel much off of them, your best bet is they're not working very well. I just want people to know that you're not going to
yeah,
heal very well from this if you're on antidepressants for 6 months to a year and stuff like that. Like, a lot of people tend to take stuff like that. That a lot of this medication is meant to take temporarily along with therapy. But doctors will just get you on those drugs, no therapy. Nowadays psychiatrists don't even really give much therapy. It's just come for your refill. And then
yeah.
you have a
That
separate
and that's
therapist.
the main, I guess the main point I take that from that, David, is that oh yeah, definitely, if these pills help, then that's great. But you've got to combine it with the context, of what's going on for you. You can't take a pill and then think that you're going to be changed when you're still living in the same abusive environment, or you haven't healed, you haven't worked through that trauma and those inner wounds. You're kind of just putting a band-aid on the symptoms of the context, the context, which is the trauma. So
Yeah,
that trauma isn't going away. That needs to be addressed, like David said, through therapy and support and working through it. One by itself, I guess medication can be great and it can be really helpful, but certainly through trauma like you guys have been through, you need therapy. You need to talk about this stuff and
absolutely.
work through it.
Yeah, people ask me a lot about hypnosis, and we talked about art therapy and stuff like that. And anything you do for yourself is usually great, you know.
Yeah.
So just the process of going out looking for help, going every week and doing your therapy, whatever it is, can be great. But a lot of these things, just know that they're supplemental. So we don't just get hypnotized over this. You have to go through therapy. You need to talk about this stuff. Just being hypnotized isn't good enough. Along with it could be great.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
a lot of these
Great.
new therapy types are just supplemental. They should go along with talk therapy, not just that.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Some awesome advice there, David. Okay, guys. So we might do a couple more questions, and then we'll say wrap it up for the night. Um, Kelly says, "Thank you so much, guys. Yes, he's a charmer, but blatantly admits he will never love me, but likes me. Much love to you both for your help." He doesn't like. What does that mean? That gets thrown around, doesn't it? I like you, but I don't love you. To me, that just means. And you've been in a relationship with this person. That's what they've said to you. This says to me, just run. They. It's
He
like they
can't.
get Sorry, David.
He can't love. He can't love, and he knows it. He knows. He's
Yeah,
telling you, I can't love, but I
yeah.
want you
Often.
around.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, a lot of the time, narcissists, though, will use the word love. They can't experience it or actually feel it, but they know that, from mirroring everyone else in society, oh, that's that word you say if you want to get someone hooked. You say, I love you, those three words. So a lot of narcissists will say the words, but they clearly don't mean it. But he's kind of using reverse psychology there. So maybe he's getting you that's to get you to try harder, to get him to love you or something. I don't know. It's confusing, but you're not meant to try and work out a narcissist train
Yeah,
of
what
thinking.
he's
I would
saying is,
just run.
yeah, he's just saying, I want you around, but I'll never meet any of your needs. I'll never do anything for you.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, do what you're doing, Kelly, which it sounds like you're going no contact, and you don't want anyone like that. You're putting the snooze button on your life by hanging around for any time frame for someone like that when you could be healing, working on yourself, and potentially years down the track finding someone who actually does love you for who you are. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. One more, guys, and then we're going to wrap it up. Ali says, "This is great therapy. Thank you. My pleasure." Ali, our pleasure. Absolutely. Jen, finding someone who actually comprehends narcissism is a massive help too. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what what we've kind of been trying to reiterate tonight, haven't we, David? Is that it's really, really important to find a therapist who gets it, because you really risk being re-traumatized, and I guess being gaslighted again, and just being abused again by someone who doesn't validate your experience.
Right. Yeah, and there's stuff to learn and stuff that needs to be corrected. And if a doctor doesn't understand how, they can't do it. They can't do it. They can
That's
get your
right.
life,
Yeah.
maybe help you get back on track and set some goals and stuff. But if they don't understand it, you're probably going to do it again.
Yeah. And as you know, David, with narcissistic abuse, it's so different to any other type of abuse. You it's not overt. It's not like someone coming up and punching you every day, where you can kind of wrap your head around that, how that's more black and white. The
Yeah.
covert nature of narcissistic abuse, victims have to know what they've been through. You have to know about narcissistic abuse. So if you're going to a therapist who doesn't know about it, what hope have you got?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
you need all those experiences that you went through, where you were told you were crazy, and you felt, just like you felt hopeless, and that even you as the victim were minimizing and justifying, abuse towards you. You need every single one of those experiences, you need them validated. So to go to a professional who does not validate you is only going to re-traumatize you. So it's really important to find someone who gets it.
Yeah. It can be damaging. It can cause more damage.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, guys. Well, we're going to wrap it up there tonight. David, thank you once again. I love having you here. I know everyone else loves having you here for your guidance and support. So
Thank you,
yeah,
Nova,
thank you.
very much. Thank you, and thank you, everyone. Thank you.
My pleasure. Everyone, for those of you who haven't done it yet, please, actually, I'm going to tell you about my new YouTube channel. I just put a couple of videos up today. My new YouTube channel, Brighter Outlook Counselling Service. Please look for that and subscribe. That's a really hard word to say. To my YouTube channel, I would really love that, and comment on what you would like me to do more videos on. And of course, for those of you who haven't done it yet, David has an amazing YouTube channel called CXNG. Is that right, David? CXNG, which stands for CNXG, which stands for Crazy Narcissist Ex-Girlfriend. His videos are so informative. They're regular, so please subscribe to that. And yeah, David's always got really good advice. So
And
yeah.
I'm going to have this video on my YouTube channel. So for all you guys, my subscribers, go check out Nova. She's awesome. She's been on Facebook for a while. I'm going to put a link to her Facebook page,
And my
and I'll put a
YouTube
link
channel.
to her YouTube channel as well. So go support her. She just started the YouTube channel, so she needs help. She needs support.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Yeah, David, yeah, thank you so much for staying up till 2 a.m. Gosh, it'd be 3:30 a.m. there now over in Las Vegas. And yeah, we will have to talk you into coming for a working holiday over to Oz. So maybe you
Yes,
can
definitely.
do live streams at a decent hour. Yeah, I know I'd love that. And I'm sure everyone here at Bright Outlook would love it if you made a trip to Australia sometime in the near future.
That'd be great. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, be awesome. Okay, David. Well, you have a good rest of your night, and
Thank you.
I will catch up with you very shortly. And everyone, David will be back in a couple of weeks' time. So as always, I will let you know about that. And yeah, thank you for joining us, David. And I'll see you very soon.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Have a good night.
Bye, David. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Alrighty. Okay, everyone. Yeah, that was David Demars. I really enjoy doing the shows with David. He's just yeah, has so much knowledge when it comes to narcissistic abuse, and I know that he would be of so much help to you guys. So yes, for those of you who don't know, I'm a therapist on the north side of Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. I would love to be able to support you in your narcissistic abuse recovery, on your healing journey. So as I've said before, if that's something that you would like to do, if you're not in Australia, if you're outside of the country, in the UK, Fiji, America, wherever you are, New Zealand, I've got Skype available, I telephone counselling, and of course, for those of you who can make it here to Brighter Outlook on the north side of Brisbane, I would love to be able to see you face to face to support you in your healing journey. So yes, I'm going to say goodbye, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me here tonight, for joining David and I, and thank you so much for your support. So bye for now. See you in a couple, well, see you next week. You'll see me. So yeah, as always, everyone, remember your worth and then add tax. Bye-bye, everyone.